I'm live. Yay. Good morning. Happy Labor Day, my fellow Americans. My fellow Americans. And good morning to the rest of the world in general. Or good afternoon, or good evening, or wherever you happen to be in the world. So I am getting back into this painting I started Saturday, which I was just very, very excited to keep working on. I didn't really have time to work on it yesterday, but I figured since I have the day off, since it's hot as hell today already, it's gonna be hot and humid and disgusting all day long. So I figured, much like Saturday, I will be just live streaming through the course of the day. Uh, Morning in the studio, afternoon on Twitch. So for the time being, let's just jump right back into where we were before. So from Saturday, the one thing I did need to get done on this and had to wait for was for the Earth or the planet rather section to dry, so I can brush on the black coats for the shadow. So I'm gonna start there. I've got some open acrylic bone black, which I will be putting some of that down as well as some regular Mars black. I like doing this mix, especially if I'm doing a piece in sort of one or two sittings like this. That I like to have the extended dry time from the open, but the regular dry time from the standard acrylic. I'll just mix them together. And part of the reason why I want this to be the first layer is hopefully by the time this is even a little bit tacky, we should be able to come in and do the star layers, um, uh, light the surface lights coming up out of the dark afterward. So we're starting there. Decently big brush here just to cover the surface area. I'm gonna go ahead and wet my planet slightly. And just before I started screaming, I realized I need the floor pillow because I'm going to be doing all the lower planet surface stuff. Okay. Wet the bristles and start dropping in the dark. Needs to be pretty thin though. Okay, so I kind of wanted that edge to be maybe like just past the center. So I'll go maybe to probably do the upper side of the planet separate, but like arc it maybe like here slightly. And just blend that out. Also, because it is so nasty today, I don't think it should affect my microphone, but I do have a fan blowing on my back. It might change. That might change when I end up kneeling on the floor, but I will do my best to keep things moving on that side of things. Still want to be able to see the underneath, just make it darker, at least for the most part. Probably going to grab my mop brush in a second here just to blend out this end piece here. Making sure it's a softer transition. Yeah, that looks better. It's not totally just straight into the dark, you know. That slow fade. Slow fade into the dark. And then kind of just blending it out with everything else. Trying to avoid any major brush strokes over top of the dark. Looks pretty good. I need a little more of that dark on the back end of the planet there, but that's pretty good. Not totally covering up the atmosphere line, but I am darkening it like everything else. And then blend it out. That looks pretty good. Not enough to completely miss where the lands and the continents are, but enough to keep things realistically shaded. It feels pretty good. Might even need a little bit more down here. And just kind of slowly adjust it as need be. Do the same thing on the upper portion of the world, but obviously it's, you know, I mean, it's leaning a little bit away from the sun, so we're gonna get probably about the same, but a little more, a little less, maybe. The line won't be exact because it's floating up. Is kind of what I'm getting at here. So here. Taking a little too much paint on the brush there. And I'm not coming across this rock up top because that's floating in front of all of this. But everything else I'll hit. Just do my best to kind of shadow that back. Not totally covering up all the work we did Saturday, but enough to, again, really kind of bring that shadow in there. I might go back a little later and give it more of a defined halo on top for the atmosphere, but I think that looks alright with what's here. Yep. That's pretty good. I think I'm happy with that. I could probably push it a little darker, a little closer, but I don't want to completely obscure everything. Realistically, yes, I probably should take it down to just a sliver, but wasn't really thinking about that when I started painting it. So I think that will be acceptable. All right. Let me rinse these brushes, like really like wash them out, and then I want to mix up a dark to start doing a little bit more definition for a lot of these cracks and shapes in the lower planet. I am going to opt for a slightly smaller brush here as well. But I got to mix a color up. So I'm leaning towards doing a sort of a brown blue mix. Brown blue mix. I use the transparent red iron oxide with my Prussian blue to get it dark without being black. And given the base coats we've already got going on here, that shouldn't be a problem. I do want to make sure I'm monitoring my volume levels though, because as soon as I kneel down, if the fan's gonna blow on the mic, I have to adjust. Okay. So, well, mix paint first. It is also sort of blowing towards the canvas, which should help this dry a little faster. At least to the surface, anyway. Okay, need a knife. Knife! A knife! Pull this over here. I readjusted the easel from the last time I was over here Saturday, so it's a little bit more pushed towards the camera, but also away from where I needed to work the work surface. Yeah, that's a really nice deep brownish color. Like if you weren't paying attention, you might say that was probably a black or a raw umber, which it's not either of those two. All right. Clean that off, and this is one of my favorite parts of any piece, when I can really play with the baseland and start kind of going nuts with it. Okay. Let me bring everything down here. Bring my palette down here. Bring my water bucket down here, because everything's in this lower third of the piece. Okay, audio still okay? Oh yeah, can't hear that at all. Good. I will end up probably having to move this over to my table towards the lower end of this piece, and I'll just move the camera around for that, but for the time being, we're just going to stick with this. So I can mostly kind of trace what I have, but I just want to give it some extra color, and color that's closer to what I'm thinking for the eventual surface colors of the piece, i.e. not the gray. And if you watched part 1 on Saturday, you'll note that I'm not using a lot of different brushes for this. It's been a flat brush, a filbert, basically just a couple of different flat brushes and the filter for some of um, the planet stuff. But other than that, it's all kind of been the same set. So you never need like a bunch of brushes. I mean, sometimes I will end up using a lot of brushes for just a couple of different effects, but 9 times out of 10, it's just because I'm trying to find a certain look. But this piece is already sort of a comfort zone kind of piece for me, so it's harder to find the need for brushes other than my standard couple. And normally I'd probably start with more of a mid-tone, but I kind of already did that. So I'm just gonna go dark, then light, then probably dark, then mid-tone or so. It's really gonna be a mixed bag for these layers. As long as I'm remembering what colors I'm using and working with those, I shouldn't be too terrible. It actually, to be honest, it's probably going to be a series of a new mid-tone on after this dark, and then like 2 or 3 lighter layers. But other than that, it shouldn't be too terribly different. Um, and again, I'm definitely going to lean more towards probably the transparent red iron oxide for a lot of the main color of this. Work with my Titan buff to really give it a more dusty red iron esque look. Um, if I was doing an oil overcoat, I would probably end up going back to Blick for something. There's a single series of colors that Gamblin makes called the Reclaimed Earth colors. I've been wanting to make a video about it. I probably will at some point when I pick them up. But the color and the pigment itself is made from essentially the um, sludge water that's seeping out of old coal mines, and it gets dried and refined, and Gamblin started making pigment out of it, and or not, well, the company that makes it make pigment out of it, and Gamblin is the first company that picked up on that and decided, hey, let's make paint out of it. And they call them reclaimed earth colors. Um, and I was watching a video about the pigment company that started making it, and I was like, this is really fascinating because they're doing a environment or something of an environmental service to help clean up stuff, even though that like they're not even coming close to making a dent based on what gets spewed out of these mines every day. But it's a step in the right direction to sort of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And at some point, I will pick those colors up and do some tests and probably a small piece with them to help raise awareness and bring that to more of the forefront. But that is a future video plan and not something I'm doing probably at all this year, since I've already pretty much spent my allotted budget quota on art supplies. Although I did actually just sell a piece Saturday. Well, I didn't personally sell it. It sold out at the gallery. And it was one of the new ones. I showed it briefly on camera um, for a short. It's called uh, say like That Which Fell from the Sky or Relics That Fell from the Sky. And it was it was a big it was a I think a 16 by 40 piece that I did literally like last month, maybe 2 months ago, and it was sort of my response to playing through Tears of the Kingdom. I did that piece, and it sold yesterday, which is it's one of the things where I always had kind of mixed feelings about it because I really liked that piece, but and it was new, so I didn't. It wasn't hanging up at my house real long before I took it to the gallery. But I am thrilled that it sold because it was a nice payday for me that I probably won't see for another 2 weeks until the check comes in the mail. But still, um, so progress is good, and that's honestly going to help with my credit card bill right now because I've been running a bigger tab than I should be as of late. So if I get that stuff paid off and I can get through the holidays in one financial piece, probably January or so, I'll get another big order of art supplies because I'm sure I'll need some paint by then at the very least. And I'm considering um, some sort of a giveaway before Christmas, but I'm not sure if I'm actually going to have the time to do that. Might end up just being the sale on the online shop, which is still fine. As a note, though, if you are local, so my prints disappeared from the gallery for a little bit because they specifically wanted them all to have a cardboard backing to them. So I had to go buy some cardboard backings and re-sleeve quite a lot of them because you can't just pull it out. It's weird with the sleeves. But so I ended up raising the prices of my prints, at least at the gallery, from 20 to $30, but they're always still going to be 20 on my website because you're buying directly from me and I don't have to adjust up for commission prices. Um, so that's sort of my current little extra selling point for, hey, buy from me instead because it's cheaper directly from me. Although that piece now that piece is sold, I'll probably have to get some prints of that made to have around. And actually, come to think of it, now that I'm doing all these darks, there will be a final dark layer, and for that I will come in with a liner brush and sit in my chair and put this on the table and just go to town with it. That section of that process probably will not be live. I might split it into a series of Instagram reels or something, but um, I am I will need to have that level of sit on my stool and really get up close like that to the piece, which I can't really do live with a headset on. And also thinking about light and shadow and everything like this. So this end of this planet, like not as much a half and half with this, but this sort of back corner will likely get a little bit of that black layer as well. Just some food for thought regarding the process. So yesterday I was actually at my nephew's second birthday party. My grandmother was like, "I like the piece you put up on Instagram the other day." I was like, she says, "It's like, oh, you put it up like 3 or 4 days ago." I'm like, "I wasn't painting 3 or 4 days ago. It's like, I had like a big like ball," and I was like, "Oh, the planet. I did that yesterday." She mistook yesterday's post for something from 4 days ago. I was like, "Really? I all right." I mean, not that I'm the best with dates and such either, but I was like, it was yesterday. Come on. Okay. Get some edge shapes in here. That's other stuff I'll have to probably do more when it's down on the table as well. But should be all right. Sorry, I'm getting getting a little concentrated in here. Just happens to be. I don't like there being. Oh, I never put my music back on either, did I? I wonder it's so weird and quiet in my ears. All right. Yeah. So as it just occurred to me that like should I use my star at this point for more of the highlights and shadows that way and focus on that? And I'm like, I don't think I should because we're talking about a larger global planetary surface, and I think it's probably just going to be more top down. So I'm going to stick with just like the cracks being dark underneath and mostly the light just coming down from the top. Although, interestingly, this is almost dry. So as soon as I run out of this dark color, and I probably will run out before I get to that side, I'll come back in with my yellow and white and start doing the city lights up in here. Still working pretty fairly rough, I would say here. I mean, we're not doing a ton of extra stuff here, but this is a really fun part of the process, so that's kind of why I'm not talking as much. Um, kind of just enjoying myself here. This was gonna be a crater, but I like the idea of just making just like a big hole. So everything else is just sort of a kind of like that as well. A little easier to paint too. I'm actually gonna grab a little bit of that black down here. Won't show up as well, but a little bit of an offset. There we go. And then, where are we at? This way. So I have all these shapes kind of converging. I gotta figure out exactly where my directional lines are. It's kind of mostly what I'm doing with this layer at this point. I'm like, does it come this way? Does it come that way? Because it's just kind of like a right now. Finding those shapes and really building that land up. Where'd my juice go? Losing that. All right. So where are we? There, here. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because this is just a two-color mix as well, when I do get to the underside much later, mixing that up again won't be too terribly difficult. This is kind of a little bit, in terms of like right in here, the composition similar to another piece I did just before this one. The painting process video that's up on the channel, because that had a big central valley, but obviously perspective was a little different. I gotta scoot left a little and move the palette. What do I want here? Okay. Getting there. Maybe I will have enough to do the whole base of this. Make a bigger decision in here. The cracks. I might even take another, when I get the lighter color, pull in like a peninsula or something down in here. Connect these stairs, something, you know. Everything here is still really freeform. Just with a little extra precision. Oh, man. I mean, I could have just raised it up another foot, you know, or 6 inches, whatever. Okay, this foreground element I'm going to let go, since I am running out of color and I do want to at least finish that upper part. And then I'll use that second mix eventually for that, and then the bottom edges. That way, in case it does look a little different, that's more of that foreground element, so I'm not really worried about it. All right, I will have to probably get a little bit in front of the camera soon here. Stand up and stretch my legs a second. Maybe I might be able to get around it just by kind of leaning up to this side. I'm kind of close, though. Do apologize if I end up blocking it a little bit. I'm more worried about the piece than I am about the camera. I could use a little water on my brush. Ugh. Looks like I mixed up just about the perfect amount of paint I needed for this, too. Oh, that's right, I was thinking about this as more of a volcano. Which is good, because if I use any... In fact, I probably will end up using a little bit of red in the lights of the night side of the planet. That way it'll balance the little bit of orange coming off of the volcano, and then... I mean, I could keep it blue, make it like a cryo volcano, but... you know, you never know. We're still pretty far out from those decisions. Okay, I am gonna move the camera, I think, because I really have to bend down and get down here. Give me a second here to adjust to that corner. All right, yeah, I have to kneel down for this angle, especially since it's on an easel. I can't just turn the whole canvas, at least not easily. There's not a lot here that I really want to be that dark, I don't think. I do need more cracks up on the top edge, though. Stuff that reaches up towards the horizon. Okay, I do have to block a little bit for this edge. Sorry about that. Just bear with me a minute. Okay. Alright. Feels pretty good. I think I can jump over to the planet to get the night lights. Night lights! Okay, slide this to the side, move my orange juice so I don't dip my brush in it. Move some stuff back around here. Reposition the camera. Okay. So, gonna need a small round brush. And I know just the one I want to use for it. I want to mix up some yellow and white and create some indications of cities going on in here. More white than yellow, more than likely here. All right. Now, mm, so something else I want to do with this piece as well is actually use part of it for a quick tutorial, which will probably be up next week. When I get to uh, the glare for the sun, I want to do it as a sprayed stencil. And where did that go? Here, the plastic film from yesterday, where I had done the practice for the lifted planet piece. I cleaned off again. What I will end up doing, it will require a practice off canvas first, but um, I'm gonna go in and lay out, like probably with Sharpie, some lines for that. Slice it with an X-Acto knife, reposition it, and spray it in order to get that more distinct glare. I can do it with a brush, but I think for this piece it's going to look interesting to do that as a big sort of diffused spray. All right. Now, because I can see where the continents are, which was the goal, if not making it too dark for the shadow, I can start dotting in some cities. Because I have a lot of the forested areas right in the center of the continents, I'll work them up towards the coast. Because I think that just kind of makes sense. Might need a different brush. This isn't gonna quite cut it, I don't think. I'm not getting the dots that I want. I'm getting more blobs. Yeah, I'll have to swap for my liner. But it is popping out quite nice. I didn't pull my reference pictures back up, but I have a decent enough idea of what I want. There it is. I think I'm also a little too close with them. I think I do have to spread them out just a little bit more in terms of positioning and where where I'm getting the dots in here. That looks really cool. I've never done anything like that before. That's really fun. I mean, it's probably not gonna show up super well on camera, but it should make for a much more interesting piece, especially when I take it to the gallery that way. You know, give you something that really tiny detail to look at once you move it in a little closer. Yeah, maybe maybe connect the cities a little bit with some lights. You know, there's little strings that kind of get us there. And like a couple of sparse ones further out, you know. Something like that. That way you can actually still see the contour of the continent shape without actually seeing all the details of it. Like all of those little dots really help just pull that up and make them stand out more. What's interesting with this is my instinct is to make it more randomized. Um, and while you know a couple out in the distance, sure, but because it's a city and cities are usually on grids, I actually have to force myself to think more angular than I would normally do so for you know a landscape setting. Um, and also not try to overdo it because I very much could. Okay, what do I want to do with this? And then you know different continent, different contour, different shapes of those cities. Now I do have one of those storms over here, and if I when I remember what I remember from my reference images yesterday was clouds and storm clouds. Well, you will still see those city lights. They're going to be more of a diffused glow. So once I get these main city lights in, I'll come in and with a different brush and just do sort of a general glow with this color, probably with a little bit more yellow, a little less white. Also, we do look a little blurry here. I'm not sure if I can adjust that dynamically or not. Let's find out. Hello. That looks a little better. I'm not sure if that'll make a difference for you guys or not. It is. We are talking about a really small area that I'm working on here. Well, not small area, but small brush work anyway. Um, Hopefully that helps though. Yeah, so we'll get maybe a cut, like one or two more defined ones, but not really. 'Cause those will need to be more distinct. All right, scoot to the right. What's funny about the continent I had under the shadow here is it reminded me a lot of Spain in terms of the shape. So I might kind of use that to my advantage a little bit on terms of where I'm putting these cities. Not that I know where all the cities in Spain are, but you know, more than likely bigger one in the middle, and then coastal stuff. You know, it's also not actually supposed to be Earth, so it doesn't matter. Oh, okay. Looks all right. A little more here. Okay. Looks all right there. Definitely want to do more coastal stuff for the rest of this. Mm. Little clusters. Couple in, maybe one or two inland ones here. I know this isn't the most exciting camera-wise, but I'm actually having a blast doing all these little dotted lights. Probably gonna raise the price of the piece a little bit given the amount of work this is taking, though. That feels all right there. Okay, one more lower continent down here to do. Definitely want the lower one here to have the biggest city. Or at least the biggest idea of a city, you know. There was this inland Like it's almost like a big heart shape here. So I'm gonna, I think, use that as my coastline for this big city. So a couple of much larger dots. One there, one here. And maybe one not quite to the other coast. Like right here. And this one I've been playing, like, some of these are more grids, some of them more like plus signs. These ones are going to be more circular. Again, really thinking about the differences between the continents, what things would look like, different people, different places. Also, I need to get my other small brush. One of the ones I haven't used in a really long time, actually, for the faded bits. Actually, I want to get these before I get the other cities here. The slightly more yellow under the cloud ones. That are just sort of bigger, glowier patches. There we go. And a couple of more distinct dots in there, but not a ton. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, I probably won't be painting as long as I did Saturday. Mostly given the heat today. But we'll see. We'll see how things go once I get back to the baseland here. Figures now that I'm almost done with all these little dots, I feel like I've finally got a good pattern and everything going. Get that feeling this is another one of those pieces that my friends are going to be like, how much do you want for that one? And I'll be like, get in line. Okay, I'm happy with that. Cool. Stand up and stretch a little bit. I don't normally sit and crouch and kneel this much for a piece. But that feels really good. I gotta remember this next time I'm doing a planet piece. That really added some pretty cool stuff to this. Debating on whether or not to put one more city up in here. I feel like it would make sense logically, but I don't want to go overboard. I figured with a fractured world like this, maybe you're not going to see those cities everywhere. In fact, you're probably not going to. Okay. Pull the camera back to see the whole thing here again. May have to readjust focus for a second or third time, but hopefully we're okay. I think we're all right. Well, hang on. Focus. Yeah, okay. So, we start looking into a next up mid-tone so I can redefine the edge of this planet. The front planet, anyway. Front foreground elements. Though I may want to grab another palette, just something cleaner than what I've already got. I'm already on my 5th palette for this piece. That's why I have a lot of them. So I can keep jumping between them for a clean surface. Alright, I will mix a little bit more of that red oxide and blue up. Now I'm going to slowly be adding probably some golds to that and some of the Titan buff, which is the that color. All right, knife. A knife. Yeah, very little of that first mix that's still wet. Wow, not much of the blue left either. That's what I get for having this fan on. It's actually not bad. It is a little bit warmer, which is good. That's what we were hoping for. more of a light brown. Get a little bit more of that blue left. That looks all right. And where'd that white go? Here. Not a lot of the white, just enough to that, and the little Indian yellow as well. That's actually a little bit too yellow. What else do I have that I can make that brighter? Alizarin crimson, maybe? Redder. Little redder. Yeah, that'll work for now. Can always glaze it up later with other stuff. I still really don't like that. I'll get there eventually. Oh yeah, that's just all it needed was more of the oxide. Alright. So this will be our first other layer. First upper such layer. I've got a still have a small flat, but it's a little stiffer, which should allow me to get some better better texture. Probably sit for at least a little bit of this before I have to get too far down. You know what? I'm going to see how high I can get this to get pulled up. Definitely don't need my sketch up here anymore. I know what I'm working on. But be easier if I can stay seated and still work this up from the top. Oh, yeah, much better. Probably have to readjust the camera again, though. There we go. Got a little bit of morning glare happening there, too. All right. Let's see what I can do over here. That's going to be better for everybody, I think. We'll have to mark that. Okay, that feels better. That way I can stay seated and keep working. The thing about I am about ready to switch my internal music playlist here. I am still getting some of that, excuse me, adjusting, underlying gray showing through that under that brown, which is good. That's the whole point of doing these base coats, is so you still have some of that color coming through without completely ruining anything that you've already done. Yeah, highlights will definitely have to be a little bit more of a pure red. I'll probably drag out my either my pearl dark or my cadmium for that, just to give that brighter tint to everything. But this is good as a middle ground brown to as a secondary base mid coat. Yeah, and places like this where I have one like plateau shelf meeting the downward shadowy sections, I can blend that up a little bit and dry brush over it um, as need be to really establish those areas. But I do want to try and keep more high contrast edges to really amplify the idea that these are cracks and breaks in the land. And I can always push in final detailing later for more or less definition. Well, probably more definition on later stages, but you get the idea. Any mistakes now where I'm using the generally larger brush um, compared to the liner anyway. Places that maybe have plateaued out a little bit, even in the deeper cracks. But anywhere that I'm coming in over the brown over the darker brown technically, um, it won't seem as light as I'm coming in over the lighter gray. See my video on how black gesso affects color for more on that topic. Yeah, it's good. I'm really establishing some more defined plateaus here now, which is helping, without no pun intended here, helping the land take shape. Not sure why I was holding so tightly onto the pallet there. It's secure. Okay, let me get up. Mostly stable. Okay. I'm not adding. I was just thinking, like, I might need to dip my brush in water just to keep it moist, but mostly just using paint and brush here. No additional. Not really thinning this out. Just really laying on the paint here, building that color up. Yeah, I definitely, yeah, like the change from a crater to a hole, and I think that's the last one I have. That's sort of a different element. Would be the hole in the piece there, hole in the ground. I just think that works better, especially with all the splits and fractures and valleys coming off of it. I just realized I am blocking the light a little bit. Okay, a little bit of water. Palette water. Okay. Probably gonna have to kneel down again in a second here. Mm. I'm a little bit worried that I might run out of paint before I get to the edge of this. Okay. May have to readjust the camera now since I'm going to be on this side. Okay. It's just the glare and everything now. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fix that. Hmm. Yeah, really sorry about the glare here. I'm not sure if the yeah lights nothing I do with the lights gonna make a difference on that right now. Mm, sorry, that might have been loud. I have this bad habit of putting my brush in my mouth to hold it and going ah, not realizing the microphone's right there. Okay. Dip of the brush here. Gotta finish the edge of this planet while I still have some paint left. Okay. Just about there with this brown layer. Gotta turn this a little to get my edge. Paint's already flaking off the canvas, or the palette. Okay. Let's see how I can adjust the easel now to maybe get a little less glare. Still have that backlighting issue, but God, it's really, yeah, the glare is just outrageous. Not much I can do about that, really. I don't think. Not without really turning things like that. Okay. Well, I might just call this one a session. I'm not, like I said at start of the show, I'm not going to work as long as I did last time. So I feel like this is probably pretty good, considering I've gotten notably further. You know, the two extra layers here, and the two the dark layer and the lights for the planet. I thought for sure I was going to do this in 2 sittings, but clearly not. At least with the with what I've got going on currently. And actually, it's probably a good thing I didn't do everything, including this foreground element, because seeing it in grayscale, mostly grayscale now, warm grayscale, still tells me that I'm definitely gonna want it to be brighter than everything else. It's also likely, I mean, this is where I'm putting my figures anyway, so it's because it's higher up, it's gonna be catching more sunlight. So mixing those separate colors later will probably end up being better. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about this piece before I call it here. Yeah, I mean, I am going to do the again the stenciled stenciled glare for the sun. That'll probably I will do that sometime later in the week. And that video will be this week's tutorial is for spray paint stenciling for canvas. And other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I was a little unsure, not darkening as much of the planet as would be more natural, but I'm not, I mean, I could always take it a little bit further, but I think it's good the way it is, and it's gonna give a lot of additional interest and depth when the piece is finally done. And also looking at where the details are in my corners. This is I'll probably be signing on the left eventually, because I've got a lot of stuff going on here that I don't want to cover up with my signature, and this is mostly just going to be a shadowed off area in that corner. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to call it here. I mean, I don't think anyone can complain about a 3.5 hour live stream Saturday and another almost 2 hours today. In terms of getting painting content from me. And then of course the one thing I'll probably do maybe one more live stream with this, maybe. But honestly probably not, because I do need to get it off the easel onto my table and really hammer out some details, which I can't do with it on the easel. It has to be laying down for me to really to really get that done. Plus, the bottom details and painting on the bottom edge and everything like that. So, I think we'll go ahead and call it here for the at least for the painting stream today. As I had mentioned earlier in the stream, I will be on Twitch as well today, starting around 3 p.m. Probably it's going to be like a 3 to 6 thing. Playing games tends to cut more time into my day than trying to force myself to like game streaming. It's like sit the camera down and relax. This is more active, so it takes a little more out of me in that sense. But yeah, I'm having a blast with this piece, and I hope you guys are learning something along the way. But for the time being, thanks for watching, and this has been reminding you to keep on creating, and I will see you guys next time.